7:30, November 2nd. Can we all please rise for the pledge and a moment of silence? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, students, you picked a bad night to come because we have a budget to go over and it might take a while, but it's okay. There's candy. For us, because we have to be here no matter what. Okay, so I'd like to open the public hearing. You want to read?
You used to be over here?
Yeah.
A public
No,
hearing was held to entertain public comments on the adoption of fiscal year 2018's budget. The notice was printed in the Times Herald Record on October 25th, 2017, and it shows the following salaries for the elected officials. Town supervisor, $33,000. Town clerk, $64,000. Town judges, of which there are two, $31,415. Councilmen, of which there are four, $10,000. And tax collector, $16,480.
Okay. So basically, we'd like to open up the hearing. I want to give everybody a little bit of an overview. This is for the public to come and speak, but let me see. We'll start with the overall budget was $12,914. $12,900,062.79. The amount that we had to raise by taxes was $9,715,799.79. Now, that's on your fiscal year 2018 report, and it breaks it down for general police, highway, library. Special districts are broken down after that. So that's your overall numbers. What we did after we ran through the budgets with each department head, the board sat together and made a few adjustments. They were minor. And then what you see is what we're proposing to the public. We are decreasing the budget by $424,809.21. This is the second year in a row that there'll be a decrease in the town, which will affect your taxes by going down based upon your assessment. I have some numbers if anybody wants specifics about my home or other people's homes who sit on the board, and we can tell you what they went down last year and what they went down this year, provided this budget gets approved. So having said all that, why don't we start with the first page of the budget report, which is the projected budget report. And if you want to take a minute to look that over. Now this starts at A05031. That's the top line. Goes through A5731. I think so. Unless you want to just do the whole A fund. Do you want to do the whole A fund? You want to do the whole A fund? Okay. So we'll give you a couple of minutes if you want to look it over. We'll do the whole A fund, and that'll carry you through, let's see what the last number is here. I guess A9950.90.
Nick, if the other way, those kids will graduate by then.
Yeah, that could be. So if you come up and want to comment on the A fund at all, please come up to the microphone, introduce yourself, give name, address, and then whatever your comment is, the board is willing to listen. So, oh, and specify the item number. I don't want to disrupt anybody's train of thought, but there's approximately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. The A fund, just so everybody is aware, is the general accounting fund. Jim, you have a question? Come on up.
Good evening. I have a question on A7110.103. You've zeroed out the budget for park attendants. Can you tell me why that's?
Read that number again to me, please.
A7110 dash or dot 103.
A07. Okay, so that budget was actually combined to the park personnel services, which is above that A7110.10. A lot of these line items, you'll see there are zeros here, and the reason was last year, we combined a lot of the things that were similar and like items into one line item. And if we had a better program, we could eliminate those items altogether, but our program is too complicated to do that. So you'll see zeros there. Would you folks like a little more time on that? Okay. This budget was online also, which was available to the public. Yes.
I have a question about different line items, and I've noticed this in a number of locations throughout the general fund budget, starting with A7510.100. There seems to be a lot of lines in which there's a budget line, but there's never expenditures going back to 2014 when I looked at the other budgets. Why are we continuing to carry budget items that we never actually
Read
expend
me
money
that
on?
number again.
Starting with A7510.100.
Okay, so it's Historian Personnel Services, page 6 for everybody?
That's one of a number of these, that
Okay.
same question.
I don't know about 14, I don't have that information in front of me, so I don't know what you researched and what you're comparing it to.
Well, I have the budget from 2014,
Yeah.
2015, and 2016.
She is paid annually, and I think last year she got a small stipend increase. So I don't know what you're referring to in 214,
Yeah,
I can't tell you.
There wasn't any expenditures shown on actual for 2014.
I don't have an answer for you for that. That would have been my predecessor.
It's paid in December. What report he's looking at. It's paid in December, what report he's looking at.
She gets paid in December, which is why there's a zero there now. So in December, she'll get paid the $850 that's budgeted.
Right, but he's talking about 814, there was in 2014.
We don't have that data.
Yeah, we
yet.
don't have that data here.
It could have been in a different line item. It could have been in 400 instead of 100 or something.
Could have
No,
been.
it's 100. I don't know the date of his report that he's
Oh.
referring to, so perhaps it wasn't December yet, and it's not showing.
None of, in that whole category, none of those have shown any expenditures.
Well, we don't have the data to compare it to 2014.
I'm just looking at what the actual amount was for 2017. You have about $5,000 there that apparently all gets charged in December, is what you're saying?
It's a historical society.
Yeah, they get their annual fund at the end of the year,
Just December.
and that's the way it's been, I guess, forever.
She's paid every year.
Okay.
Okay, is there anybody else who has any questions on the A fund? All right, well, let's continue on then. So the B fund. B fund starts with page 1 at B3590. Excuse me, that's the top of the page. And it continues for, how many pages? Does anybody count?
They're labeled on top.
And just for your information, that's the police fund.
It's 3 pages. So I'll give you a minute or two to look at the B fund, see if there's any questions or concerns or any input. Remember, this was online. When did you post this, Des?
It's been online for about a month now.
It's been online for approximately a month. Yeah, come right up.
It's on? Hi, I'm Jackie Hernandez. I just had a quick question. I was looking at B3120.415, where it highlights the PBA contract. In 2016, it had it at 70,000, and then it decreased by a little more than half in 2017. And then I'm looking at the scheduled budget. Is there a reason why there was such a dip in that area for 2017? And is there a plan to revisit those contracts in 2018?
So I'm not clear what your question is. I see the number, it's 3120.415, page 2, legal PBA contract. Is that correct?
Right, I'm looking at the
Okay.
PBA contract. I'm looking at
You want me to answer it?
2017, you saw a decrease. Is that because there was no contract? I'm just trying to get clarity. It says the legal PBA contract. Is that in reference to the police department?
Correct. That all the contracts with the police department and their legal
Right.
costs, any expenses dealing with the police, legal
Right, because there was
expenses.
a dip in 2017. So in 2018, is it projected that,
We're projecting
those contracts-
$75,000, and that's not all for contract. Part of it is for legal representation
Okay.
for the police department.
Okay.
We have some outstanding, unfinished legal actions that are against our police department.
Okay.
And that's what some of that money is from.
okay, okay.
Yeah, like that.
Okay, B fund. Any other questions about the B fund at the moment? If you find something at the end, we can come back and revisit if it's relevant. All right, let's move on then. Next one is the DB fund, very short. DB 3590 to
That's revenue.
DB
Yeah.
2401. That's actually revenue. It's all debt service, I've just told. Page 2 of that is special bond principal, special bond interest. If there's any questions on those two. Then we go into projected budget report revenues. First one is the library. That's L1001 through L5031 for the first page. Second page of library is L1980.400. The last line on that page is L9089.800. Sounds like bingo almost, doesn't it? If there's any questions on the library, we'll wait here for a minute. Okay, moving on. Anybody questions on the library? All right, seeing no questions, we'll move on. Next page is revenues again. Oh, go ahead.
Just ask the question,
Sure.
why is it there,
We need the microphone so everybody can hear you. Sorry.
on the library, it looks, in terms of revenues, it looks like there's no, there's an $80,000 decrement there, which is line
You talking about the state aid line,
88.
L3840?
Yeah, what, 3840.
That's, we laid out the money. We're waiting for an ADA grant when the project is completed. And when that project is completed, we'll get our grant money back, and that's an $80,000 grant. That's how it works with grant money. In a lot of cases, we have to lay out the money, we complete the project, we then send in all the documentation that the project was completed in the correct manner, and then we get the grant money back.
But you don't have it in the budget for 2018. So do you already have the money in a
Yeah, because we
reserve
started the
account?
project in this year. You have to put the money into the year that the project started. It started in 2017's budget. So it's in,
So is that part of the,
yeah, if you look at the third line, it says budget amount 2017. It shows state aid, L3840, $80,300.
right,
That's where it is.
understood. But, so it doesn't show up, though, in the appropriated fund balance under L, which is $8,000.
No.
This year's actually.
Any other questions about the library? Okay. Then we have another tax levy page. This is for the BID. It's SMB 1001 through SMB 2770. That's revenues. And then we have the expenditures on the next page, page 2. SMB 1930.400, SMB 9010.800. And this is money that is from the BID, from the Woodbury Commons. This does not impact the taxpayers. Any questions? There's only about 10 items on this page, maybe 12. Okay, again, if there's a question and we pass something, we can always come back and visit if you make yourself a note. Next one is going to be revenues, SR 1001, tax levy versus SR, or not versus, but at the end of it, SR 2401. That's the refuse department. Page 2 of that are your expenditures. There's five items there. SR 1930.400 all the way through SR 8160.410. And this contract ends at the end of this year, of 2018, that is. I'm sorry, misspoke. Boy, I don't want to get my dates wrong. Okay, we'll continue on. Anybody have any questions about refuse? All right, next one is revenues, SS 11001, tax levy, and then it's SS 12401, interest and earnings. And then the second page of that, serial bonds. I think those are pretty simple, self-explanatory.
Can I go back to,
Sure. What page and what item?
it's SR 8160.402.
Yeah.
I just had a quick question. I was just looking at the budget for 2017 for clerk and contractual. You have 17,623 that was allocated in a budget. There was no money used, but 2018 you show almost $1,000 increase on that same budget line.
$707 increase.
Yeah, well, okay. So could you explain why we would have an increase in that budget line without?
That bill hasn't been received yet. It gets
Okay.
received in December.
Okay, so it's a bill that's, okay.
It's coming
okay,
due.
Okay,
A lot of what happens in government is that you have to lay out the money and wait for reimbursement, like grants and things like that.
Okay.
And other things are, we have to budget the money. We know we're going to get the bill. We just don't have it yet.
okay,
So-
okay, thank you.
All right, so we were going to revenues for, I lost my place, I'm sorry.
You're in SS1.
Right. SS 21001 and SS 22401. Those are revenue numbers. And then the second page of that is SS 29710.600, and it ends with SS 29710.704. Those are all bonds and interest and some bond principal in there. And until they're all paid off, they'll just keep reoccurring. The next page is going to be SSH 001, I'm sorry, 1001, and SHH 2401, levy and interest earnings. Next page, again, is bonds and principals for the same account. Interest and principal, that is. We then have revenues again for SW 11001 and SW 12401, levies, interest, and earnings. And then this is what's left of the consolidated water. These are still on the accounts. And it's SW 11930.400 through SW 19710.702. They're bonds, interest, principal, judgment, and claims against the same account. Go ahead, you have a question about that? Go ahead.
Really, the question has to do with if they've transferred the water system and all the responsibility to the village, why isn't the indebtedness also transferred to the village?
We've been told that that was the debt that was issued by the town at the time, and the town is still liable for that debt
Per village law.
per village
New
law.
York State village law clearly states that any indebtedness that existed when the district was transferred stays with whomever the indebtedness was existed with. Those are big words. Thank you. You should. Thank you.
So basically, the simple answer is that the debt was issued to the town of Woodbury. It stays with the town of Woodbury, and that's based upon state law.
The reason I ask that is that the village, both the town and the village have debt limits. And the debt limit of the town now is affected by this debt, even though it's actually a village, the debt is against an asset that the village owns. And it seems like it's sort of a shell game here, because the village then therefore can borrow more money, even though the debt, which is on the community, has now exceeded what the village limit would be.
Perhaps, but the town can't borrow any money anymore because we don't have that responsibility. So the responsibility was shifted at the same time the debt was. So there's no way we could borrow for water and sewer unless we started our own. Okay, moving on. We just did that page. So now we're at SW 61001, tax levy, and SW 62401, interest and earnings. I think that's pretty self-explanatory as well. Excuse me, next page is SWH 1001, SWH 2401, again, interest, earnings, and tax levy. H, as in Harry.
As in Highland Lake Estates.
Right. H is for Highland Lake Estates. Thank you. Next page is the bond and principal for that. Bond interest and principal. And then the last couple of pages, do they have this too?
It was in the beginning.
Oh, okay. In mine, it's the last couple of pages. It gives you all the codes and the different areas and breakdowns.
Nope, that's the tax exempt report.
That's the tax exempt. Where's the breakdown?
It's not.
Oh,
That was in the beginning.
Okay.
as well.
So that's pretty much page by page of the budget. So let's take a couple of minutes. If anybody wants to reopen a specific section or have any comment about it, we're more than happy to listen. I want you to remember that your taxes and your levy has gone down over $400,000 this year again, $424,809.21, which will show you a decrease in your taxes, town taxes. Can't do anything about the school. That's up to you folks. So we'll give everybody a minute, and then I'm going to go row by row. Do you have any questions in row 1? Anybody in row 2? Okay, come up.
I assume that you're going to take written statements for a period after this hearing?
We can, if you'd like. Sure.
Yeah, I would like to, because I've got some some stuff from 2014 that I'd like to put in front of the boards. I'm also concerned that we only have 3 board members here. This is a pretty high priority situation. You know, this is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to town, living in this town, the taxes.
I understand, but I don't see how 2014 is relevant to 2018's budget.
Because those, you know, essentially looking back over the previous board's approach to budgeting, and those values, minus the amount that's been shifted to the village, I think I want to present to the board exactly what those numbers are, so you can understand my concern about, you know, how taxes are moving in this town. That, you know, people are very concerned.
Well, they're moving down. Do you agree? Based upon the numbers you see in front of you?
The town taxes are, but
Okay.
not the community taxes, and that's what people are
Well,
responding to.
but the community tax, you're referring to the school.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about the village and the town combined tax.
Okay, I can't answer for the village.
No,
'cause I
and I'm
think-
not asking you
okay.
to. I'm just saying, I would like the town
Absolutely.
to have some information. And as I say, this is a high priority. I think all 5 board members needs to understand the situation that we face with taxes in this community.
Okay, fair enough. Anybody else in row 2? Anybody in row 3? Anybody in row 4? Anybody back at the table? You look like you still have a question.
Yeah, he was just talking to me and I missed my thing. I'll just have a.
Okay.
I'm looking at A7, it's 110, but there's a couple of line items, and this is really going towards the rec area. There was funds, and again, just clarify if, you know, there's grant money, again, that's out, that's not being presented here, but just looking at the budget for, I'm just going to look the line item, day camp expenditures.
What number is that?
It's A7110.430. I'm going to use that one as an example because it's a big line item, but there's a couple of items that I noticed there was like decreases. So the day camp expenditures, it was anticipated 2017, 31,363. The year before that, the amount that was budgeted was 17,000. The actual usage was 14,690. So 2 things. Was there a decrease in services, recreational services that were provided? Or was this due to an outside factor? Because just looking at 2017 and 2016, the average was around, 16,000. But it was budgeted for 31,000, and then next year it's budgeted for 29, a little less than that. But is that the average cost? And
What we were doing is when I took over as budget officer, I compressed a lot of budget accounts because
Okay.
they were repetitive.
Right.
So you could have, as an example, and I'm not saying this is specific, but you could have a swing that cost us whatever in one account, and then you'd have a slide that cost us more money in another account.
Okay.
So all those accounts were compressed and
Okay.
into one account for
Right.
that. As far as the day camp, a lot of what happens in the day camp is relevant to the amount of children that participate. So last year, I think we had a very high volume of not this year, the previous year, we had a very high volume of participation at the camp. That creates revenue for us.
Right.
So that kind of offsets some of those costs. We anticipated putting in some things this year and moving forward. This year, we added to the parks horseshoe pits and can jam for the kids, and we're working on possibly for next year, by the time we get to it, a putting green. So those expenses are being factored in.
Okay.
So the ones that we did were factored into this year. I'm just giving you examples
Right.
of what's coming forward.
Okay. So in that 14,000, what, did that include the improvements that you're referring to right now?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, the 14,600, is that including the improvements that you said?
Not all of them, some of them, yes.
Not-
It
okay.
included the horseshoe pit, it
Right.
included the can jam, it included some other items that were either broken and needed to be replaced,
Items.
diving board,
Right.
things along those lines. That we replaced this year, that's in this year's budget 17.
Got it. So the additional, let's say, 16,000 something,
For 18 is more equipment that we want. We're buying, we're researching right now, buying a handicap swing
Okay.
for children who are special needs. Those swings are not cheap because they have to be made
Sure.
commercially. They're not like your home swing would be.
Right.
We're looking at, as I told you, possibly putting in a putting green. So we have rough estimates for cost of things like that.
Okay.
And that's what that number is. Remember, a budget is it's not a
Estimate.
definite number. It's a
Right.
guesstimate, the best
Right.
guesstimate we could make at the time.
Sure, sure. So if you looked at the excess, whatever was remaining from the 2017 budget, that was budgeted for, let's say, the day camp expenditures, does that money get turned over to 2018? What happens with those funds?
That money goes back into the general fund.
Okay,
All monies that come in, or all monies that were not spent, go back into the general fund.
Okay.
Not the B fund, the general fund.
Okay.
And then they're reappropriated based upon this new budget of 18.
got it. Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. What's the board's pleasure? I think I'd like to close the public hearing. Can I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
So we're closing the hearing, and, but we're not voting on it tonight, is that correct?
Well, we'll see whatever the board's pleasure is.
Okay.
So I have a motion to close it. Do I have a second?
You second it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then all in favor? Maybe lose my
Aye.
train of thought. Okay. So now what is the board's pleasure moving forward? Do you wish to vote on the budget tonight? And keep in mind, if you don't pass this budget, what we wind up with is the preliminary budget, which is fine.
The tentative
I'm
budget.
sorry, the tentative budget. Still brings us well under the cap. The savings are very close to what I mentioned of the 400. Oh, it doesn't change. So 424, 809, 21. So it doesn't impact that. We're still under the 2% cap, but the differences are going to be the salaries. Some of them go down more, and some of them don't.
Well, I'd like to have, practically, I'd like to have the whole board here if we're gonna vote on it, 'cause it's a budget,
I don't have an issue.
so. If it can it wait till, the next meeting?
It has to be voted on by the next meeting. That's the last date
Right,
possible.
it usually is, it's the meeting after the election. so.
Yeah, the fiscal law says you have to close a hearing by the 15th, you have to adopt it by the 20th, and failure to
Yeah.
do so would cause the tentative budget to be your operating.
I mean, I'd rather have, all board members here to vote on it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, too.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to not vote on the budget, but we all agreed that we were closing it, correct? We
Correct.
voted on that?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. All right, let's take care of some administrative business then. We have acceptance of the minutes held on October 19th. May I have a motion and a second?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, then we have approval of the budget modification. You want to read that, Des?
Sure, we only have one this evening. It's a modification to the budget of the police department by decreasing B 9015.800, retirement police by $5,600, B 9061.800, excuse me, dental insurance by $3,600, and increasing B 3120.411, office supplies by $2,200, and B 3120.416, uniforms by $7,000.
May I have a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
We have an abstract.
This is abstract 19. It contains vouchers 2017-1845 through 2017-1939, and it totals $345,934.45.
May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have an extra item, which is a tax. Do you want to read what part of this you have to?
Certainly. It's a resolution authorizing the settlement of the following matters: CSL III LLC versus Town of Woodbury. It's assessor and the Board of Assessment Review for 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, and Chimba Bad versus the Town of Woodbury. It's assessor and the Board of Assessment Review, and to execute any necessary documents pursuant to the settlement.
Okay. May I have a motion?
Make that motion?
May I have a second? I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, old business. We have to schedule some interviews. I suggested November 20th. Was that an issue for anybody here?
Nope.
No.
Okay, so can I have a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion.
Oh, at 7 PM, I'm sorry. Frank makes a
I
motion?
make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So it'll be November 20th at 7 PM for the conduct interviews.
Well, an executive session to conduct it.
Executive session, thank you. We got another estimate from the Orange and Rockland Company for the senior center and the library. I forwarded that to you folks via email. This is the same company that is going to do the town hall and the police station. So if the board is so inclined, I'd like a motion and a second to authorize me to sign it, and we can move forward with some utility savings there.
I most definitely think that's a good idea and that we should move forward with it.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second?
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Then we have a signing of the tax collector debt tax bond, tax collector bond. So I need your authorization to sign that.
No, there's no
Oh, there's
authorization.
none?
You just have to make a motion.
Why?
You just have to note at the meeting that you're signing the bond, and then I forward it to the
we
county
gotta date
clerk's
it?
office. Nope. Just has
Okay.
to be mentioned in the minutes.
There you go. So tonight, we are going to have an executive session after we do public comment. I'm sorry, what a closed session with our attorney. There will be no actions taken tonight. Do you need everybody to sign this?
Just whoever's here. Thank you.
So we'll start with row one. If there's any comments, please come up.
You showed up just in time,
Just in
Matt.
time, man, I'll tell you.
Matt Higgins, Highland Mills. I came here tonight because, I was watching News 12, and the Woodbury Junction was on there. And it's an embarrassment to this community, what's going on here. I went to the village board. I asked Mayor Queenan to write to the assistant district attorney at the county level. And I don't know what happened with that. Mayor Sutz, you said you called them and you went to the state or whatever. I suggest to you and all of you on the board, use the police department. We have a fantastic police department here in Woodbury. We've got a great chief, Chief Watson here. They can handle this. Let the police do it. Write tickets. Bring them to court. What we have here is prejudice, and it's discrimination. I mean, the police can figure out what the charges should be, but this shouldn't continue like it is. And here you have this junction, and they're allowed to do all this building, and, in February, they had like 5 dumping tickets for illegal dumping tickets right off of Ninninger. They had 2 stormwater quality tickets, and they're continuing to allow them to build. But who's buying these places? These places are only bought by some individuals that belong to a certain religious group, and that's not fair to anybody. What if this was white people and they wanted to keep all the black people out? What would that be? You understand? So you have authority to use the police, and I wish you would, because we have a great police department, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anybody in row 2?
John Smith, Highland Mills. I bet you all thought I was going to get up here and complain about the library again, didn't you? I'm just testing your memory.
You know, John,
I'll
you're the
test it
best.
next Tuesday. Don't you worry.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anyway, I just have a very quick question. You said something about a tax settlement, believe or whatever. Could you explain it a little bit more about the amount of money and who was involved or where it was or whatever? Is that a legitimate question?
Joe, if not, I'll give you
I
my
don't have
copy.
unless the figures are in the resolution.
they are.
I don't have anything with me.
Yeah, I'll let you read it to him.
Sure.
You want me to just read it?
It's quite long.
Oh,
It's like 3
okay.
pages long.
Oh, I don't want you to read the 3 pages.
You wrote it.
No. It's all right, I'll pass on 3 pages.
It's basically somebody
Right,
challenged their assessment and it went to
Yeah.
grievance, and this is a settlement that's been made.
I
Yeah, it's
just
just a-
want to know the amount of money involved.
It's,
Okay, give him a second, he can give you a recap, a
you
quick
want to look at it
synopsis.
afterwards?
Is it online?
No, because it just
No.
came in this morning. I sent it to you, I can?
Yeah, yesterday, I think.
Are you adding it up in your?
Now I have to start all over again.
While we're waiting, should I do a Packer
Why
report?
don't I just pass and...
Okay,
we can
we'll get you
continue
the
meeting.
information hopefully for the evening's over. All right. That was it, Mr. Smith? Okay. Anybody else in row 2? Anybody in row 3? Anybody in row 4? Anybody at the table? Chief? Oh, Maria, I'm sorry.
As a member, as a chairperson of the beautification committee, I want to thank all members that came out to help decorate the library, the front of Town Hall by the Parks Department, and also for the Woodbury Halloween party this past weekend. Children and adults alike, they've been taking pictures at all locations, and I also wanted to thank Robert Hunter, who came and helped out from his workday to help us put those decorations up on 2 days, which I couldn't attend to, and Justin Hunter for helping as well. Also, I'd like to comment on how a great day was had by all at the reservoir. Everyone had great things to say. The children were happy. They got their pumpkins. They went on the hay rides. The smiles were incredible. And taking the pictures with all those decorations from the building department, which is Bobby Blair, Brad, Rob, Yuri, who am I missing? Will. I mean, these decorations were impressive at the reservoir. And everyone, the park staff that was there also handing out the popcorn, the donuts, it was wonderful. So thank you to everyone who attended and to those who put it together. There you go, Chief. No?
Chief, nothing? Okay. Joe, you still adding?
If I could do math, I wouldn't have had to go to law school. Just generally, John, I can go through the numbers. There's about 20 lines. So somebody challenged their tax assessment, but this is over a period of 6 years, and there are 3 or 4 different parcels. So there's 20-plus lines of explanation as to what the assessment was, what it was reduced to, and then a calculation of what the actual reduction in the tax was. And they have that for the town tax, for the county tax, and for the school district tax. I'm not more personally familiar with this one, but it looks like in 2 of the years, there was no reduction in the tax at all. In 2 of the years, it looks like there was about a 10% reduction in the tax. And then in the 3 subsequent years, it looks like approximately another 10% reduction in the assessment, which would also be a 10% reduction in the tax.
So having said that, the thing that he also has to inform you is that when we settle these tax certs in court, they cannot come back for 3 years. And because that's the law. 3 years, that's the law. So, okay, we're going to,
And it's to prevent people from just perpetually challenging their tax assessment and keeping the town in court forever.
right. Eileen, you want to add anything? Des?
Yep.
No Packer update.
No Packer update. We already did that. I just want to remind everybody that your clocks fall back this Saturday. We get to get an extra hour's sleep. There is no delay in garbage pickup next week. The schedule shows that there is, but the garbage place that they bring the garbage to decided to be open on Friday. So there is no delay for the people on that side of 32. The John Burke Pasta Dinner scheduled for November 18th, $10 per person. Children eat free. We have to-go containers. It's from 5 to 7 at the Village Hall. Please come and support our scholarship program. We give out 4 $500 scholarships a year, as well as buy things for the Parks Department that they need that they may not have budgeted. I believe we're looking into getting a boat this year for the guards so they can use it on the reservoir. Town Hall's closed next Friday, November 10th, for Veterans Day. And my office got quite a few phone calls today due to some misinformation that was published in some literature that was mailed to some people yesterday. There is no voting at the Center Valley Elementary School for a general or primary election. You will only vote there for school district elections unless they change it. So if you voted at the Village Hall / Highland Mills Firehouse, or you used to vote at the Central Valley Elementary School, you will now vote at the St. Patrick Gymnasium. Please do not go to the school to vote, even though literature tells you to do that. Don't do it. It's not there, okay? If you don't know where to vote, please call my office, and we'll be more than happy to help you, or you can call the Board of Elections, or if you go to the Board of Elections website, which is through the county's website, they have a program there that you can figure out where to vote on there if you want to look at 2 in the morning. And and Trunk or Treat was a great success. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce and all of the businesses and entities and groups that participated. Are you turning? No, I'm talking to Joe. Oh, okay. It was my first time going because I don't have children, but now that I am an officer of the Chamber, I did come down to take some pictures for our website. And oh my gosh, what an event it was. I couldn't believe how many kids were there. And I couldn't believe the line for the popcorn, which was crazy and smelled really, really good. You had some departments that were there, town departments that were there on their own volunteering, the Buildings and Grounds Department, the Animal Control Office, the Police Department, the Fire Department, the library. Excuse me. So it was really, really great. And I know there's some people say it should be on Halloween, but apparently it works really well on Halloween. So remember it for next year, put it on your calendar. And thank you to the Chamber and to Joey, who's the president of the Chamber, for doing such a great job. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Joe, I need that back. Oh.
Oh, not me? Well, I haven't seen you in months and now you insult me? Yes. Nice.
Okay, Bob.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the Chamber, too. Great job on the Trunk or Treat. It was well attended by children and adults, and I think everybody had a blast, so it's a good event. And all the town and village employees, too, who were there helping out. Thanks to them, too.
Okay, Frank?
In case you don't know, next Tuesday is Election Day. Please come out and vote, no matter who it is that you're placing your vote for. It is important that you be heard and that your voice be heard. So come out and vote. Polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, so basically, I'm just going to reiterate what Frank just said. Come out and vote. We need to show Albany that Woodbury votes. votes are what counts. Votes are what got Monroe in trouble, or the lack of votes. So regardless of who you're supporting, come out and vote and make sure that, you go to the right polling place. That's important as well. In addition to that, I would like to thank the police department. The same day that we had trunk or treat, the police made sure, using vehicles, that they blocked off areas of where the trunk or treating was going on, so that the incident that occurred in New York City would not happen here in Woodbury. So I appreciate their due diligence there. It was very responsive. In addition, I'd like to welcome Joe back to the dais. We missed him, but I'm just kidding. Other than that, I wish everybody a pleasant evening. Come out and vote again. Stay safe. We're going to adjourn the meeting in a minute. I'd like to wish everybody a happy Veterans Day also, but we need to adjourn for a closed session with our attorney. There will be no action taken tonight. So can I have a motion and a second to adjourn in closed session?
Make that motion. Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Good night, everybody.